characters, I tend to draw corners and curves very sharply, as this helps add to the masculinity. This is why the eye shape has more of a square aspect instead of an oval. The other noticeable difference between drawing a man and woman's face would be that I tend to not define the upper lip in male characters. This helps define the masculinity further. To make a human look like they belong in a fantasy environment can usually be achieved through their clothes. Strangely enough, medieval clothing is often associated with fantasy today, and I personally find it a great source of inspiration to help me come up with clothing design. You always want to make sure the clothes work with whatever it is they're doing or whatever it is they represent. Since we want him to be an archer, I drew the cape to go over one shoulder alone, draping over the arm which will only move forward since it's the one used to hold the bow. Whereas I didn't want anything to hinder his other arm since he'd have to move it backwards. Keeping the medieval fashion in mind, I gave him relatively large sleeves, the shirt then tucked into a large waist belt and hanging down to his knees. He's also wearing knee-high boots, which after some research seem to be quite traditional for archers to wear in those times, and they look quite fancy, so I just went with it. It's okay to wing it sometimes and draw something for the sake of it being pretty. For the female characters, I'll be using an average sized body as well, although I'll be making more body alterations to them than I will to the male character. The reason for this is because they will not be entirely human. I wouldn't say they are nymphs, or more specifically dryads, but they are inspired from, and so they will have tree-like features. Therefore, the shape of the human body will only be used as a base to design their features on. I'm starting off with the facial features again. Because there are 4, of course they'll have their unique features, but much like humans all have eyes, noses, mouths, etc., I want to sketch out a facial structure that I can then later use to apply unique characteristics on. I picture these creatures to be curious, mischievous, and playful. Although they have human features, because they are fantasy creatures, we don't have to follow human anatomy precisely. I give them overly large eyes and mouths to help define their mischievous and playfulness. Both features hold a